All right. Welcome, everybody, to the next episode of the Digital Marketing Agency Builders podcast. I have with me today Peter Coppinger. He is the developer, CEO, and co-founder behind Teamwork, the leading project management platform built specifically for client work. A former agency owner himself from 1999 to 2010, Peter ran an agency alongside Teamwork co-founder Daniel Mackey, where they built sophisticated software applications for organizations like Pfizer and Lilly. During this time, Peter gained a deep understanding of the needs of client work teams and an obsession with customer satisfaction, which he's carried through everything he does at Teamwork to this day. Peter is a thought leader in the agency space and is now on a mission to help agencies become more efficient, organized, profitable, and happy. Peter, thank you so much for joining me here today.
Hi, Tyler. Thanks so much for having me on. That was a fantastic introduction. So, no, it's great to be here.
Thanks so much. We'll just dive right in. So can you tell me a little bit more about who you are and how you got started in the agency space?
Yeah, sure. So I'm the CEO of Teamwork.com, which is a product that's all about helping agencies to get organized and scale. And as you said there, I'm a former agency owner. Myself and my co-founder, Dan, actually dropped out of college, created an agency back in 1999. We've no idea what we're doing. We made all the mistakes, but we ran that agency for over 10 years. We eventually smartened up. We stopped making mistakes. And we turned it into one of the most successful agencies in Ireland, which is actually still thriving today. But we got to the point in our agency where, as we were scaling, we ran into a lot of challenges. We had difficulty managing everything: workload, projects, invoices, time logs, rates, deadlines. Just too much work communicating with clients, and worst of all, we were leaving money on the table. So that's ultimately why we built Teamwork.com, to help agencies, and why our mission is to help agencies get profitable, organized, scale, and be happy.
So you guys were like growing, successful, but finding areas where you could be more efficient. And were you just not happy with the softwares that were available for agencies at the time?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, back then there was very simple products like Basecamp, and you couldn't do your time tracking, you couldn't have subtasks, you didn't have template projects, you couldn't really scale. I mean, all you could really do was check tasks as done.
Yeah.
So it really was just way too basic for our needs and for the needs of every agency out there. So we built in great time tracking, we built in subtasks, we built in all the features we needed to run and scale our agency, put it on the internet, and it kind of took off from there.
I love it. Did you guys just sit down one day and pulling your hair out and say, let's just hire developers and do this thing ourselves? How did that conversation come about?
Well, we were at a stage where we were constantly building more sophisticated applications for our clients like Pfizer and Lilly and so on. And we tried the different products that were out there, and they were all not great. So we said, there's an opportunity here. I think the icing on the cake was when we just received really bad support from one of the products we were trying. We were like, we're always fanatical about going the extra mile for our customers. So that really didn't sit well with us. So one morning I came in, I said to my co-founder, coffee every morning, I said, hey, I had an epiphany. Why don't we just go build the product we need? And, we always wanted to kind of get more into the product space anyway. So why not?
Love it. I love it. I always love the stories of businesses that start because they were just unhappy with the other options that were on the market at that time, and they're like, let's just do it and do it better. And it kind of sounds like what you did with Teamwork. So can you tell us a little bit more about Teamwork and why you've chosen to help agencies in particular with your product? I imagine it goes back to you and how you were able to help yourself first.
Yeah, exactly. So the idea for Teamwork came to help our own agency. Then we put it online, and quickly we started getting big brand names, some of the biggest brand names in the world, using it, but they were using it for completely different things than we originally intended, like marketing and not marketing, for manufacturing, and for mining companies and all sorts of crazy things. Right? And we originally thought this is pretty awesome that anyone can use our software. But after a few years, as our software got more sophisticated, we found that every different type of customer wanted us to do different things with the platform. They all had different roadmap agendas. And we just felt we were a bootstrapped company. We were being pulled in many directions. So when we stopped and we analyzed our customers, it turns out that our biggest and best customers have and always were agencies. And we went, well, that makes sense because we built the product for agencies, for us. So we decided a couple of years ago that instead of trying to be a jack of all trades, why don't we just be the best in the world at serving the needs of agencies and client work companies? And that's what we're all about. So our mission changed to be the number one platform for agencies worldwide. And we're laser focused on it now. And it just makes everything easier. We know exactly what we need to build. We're hyper focused. We really know the space. We really understand our customers. We can get inside their heads. We literally sit in their shoes. So it's just all kind of coming together. We have this like super strong vision for where we're taking the platform, where it can be just one central platform with everything you need to run your agency sitting in one platform. And we
I
think
love it.
that's going to be a killer and is a killer so far. So yeah, it's I suppose another big part of what we're trying to do is really help agency owners to unlock their growth. So it's not enough to just give you the software and just leave you kind of loose. We want to actually give you a plan for your success. So we bring customers in, typically come in because they need better project management and they're struggling and their existing platform doesn't work. But we make you kind of successful at the different stages of your growth. We make you successful at delivering projects, then we'll help you get organized, and then we'll help you get scaled and profitable.
Love it. I love it. So let's zoom out a little bit and talk about the agency space more in general. So what do you think are some of the biggest challenges that agencies tend to face when it comes to actually growing and scaling their businesses?
Yeah, that's really interesting. I love this question. I love this whole space on how to grow your agency, right? And the challenges that agencies face worldwide are pretty similar. I see it as there's kind of three major phases, and the challenges you have are slightly different or very different at each phase. So when you're starting your company, it really is just about delivering happy clients and avoiding mistakes. And I'll list some of those mistakes in a minute. We'll go deeper on that. As you get
Great.
more successful, the challenge is really about becoming organized and efficient. So you've got customers, you just need to serve them faster and better, and you just need to be more efficient and get more bang for the buck. And then as you start to scale, as you enter that third phase, which is the most difficult one and the one where most companies really fall down, it's really about systemizing everything. And I've advice I can give you in each of the stages if you want to go a little bit deeper.
Sure, absolutely.
All right, so when let's go to the first stage, right? When you first start out in agency land, it's just about delivering client projects and happy clients any way you can. But you got to avoid the simple mistakes that can kill your business. Now, I have a blog post called "The 12 Biggest Mistakes Our Web Agency Made and How We Fixed Them," and it's one of the most read blog posts we ever produced. So if you Google that, you'll find it pretty quickly. Teamwork 12.
Can you give us a sampling of some of the mistakes?
Yeah, absolutely. I was just about to. Right? So
Okay,
some of the
good.
things covered are working without a contract. We did it. Big no. We lost a lot of money.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I could tell you stories. Billing in full only at project completion, right? That's another crazy thing. Bill up 3 stages along the way, with the biggest stage being in the middle, ideally. Allowing scope creep, undercharging for our work, allowing design by committee, poor invoice management, prioritizing projects based on who's screaming the loudest. Neglecting our own website is another one. It's very common. Not measuring your team utilization, and ultimately not measuring your profitability. So these are all those kind of simple mistakes. The article kind of goes deep on how to avoid them, but I think even just having them listed there will probably be kind of eye-opening for some people. Some people might think they're very basic, but these basic mistakes nearly put us out of business time and time again until we wisened up. And once we fixed these mistakes, our agency took off to the next level. So when you get to the next level, sorry, you're going to...
No. I was gonna say all those little things, like they can seem little themselves, but adding up, if all those things are going wrong, it can be massively impactful on the bottom line. So I can completely understand how that could affect an agency.
Yeah, like these mistakes, we were just finding it really tough when we were scaling our agency, and we nearly gave up so many times. But once we fixed these, and they're all relatively easy to fix, suddenly things just took off. So pretty basic mistakes, but you can fix them pretty quickly. And then they'll bring you to the next phase where, you'll have customers, you'll have projects, you won't be making the simple mistakes, and it's really time to get organized. Now, what do we mean by organized? The simple biggest thing you can do to get organized is checklists. Checklists for everything. Checklists for onboarding staff, for offboarding staff, checklists for your different project types, checklists for kind of sub elements of those projects. And you build up your database of checklists on whatever platform you're using, teamwork.com or something else. And that is how you're going to get super efficient and organized at this phase. So in the third phase, when you hit scale, the biggest mistake I see agencies making is failing to get organized because you're just so busy. And you're just so busy, you're that busy fool, you never really get everything together. You never really kind of build this hyper efficient organization. So what you really need to do, the key thing you need to do when you get to the scale phase, you got to hire the head of operations. And there's a lot of agency owners who, have a lot of great attributes and are really passionate about your customers and delivering great work, but you're also super busy and you need that professional head of operations to really take things to the next level. So when you get to, you can decide for yourself, but when you start feeling that pain of 30, 40 people, too many projects, and it's just chaos, that's probably a good moment to start considering a head of operations. I'd also recommend really systemizing your business and considering a framework like EOS, Entrepreneur Operating System. And a little side note on that, we're big fans of it. We have an actually completely free product called instantagencytools.com, which helps you run the EOS system and other tools completely free there.
Wow. Very insightful. When you were going through some of those pain points, two of them that jumped out to me right away were undercharging. I think almost everyone does that when they start off, especially if they start off by like a freelancer where they're doing their own client work, because you can charge less if you're doing it yourself, when you're in that freelancer mode and you're not, having overhead. And then it's hard to transition out of that and start charging more for a lot of people. So I think almost everyone makes that mistakes. But one that I've never really heard anyone say, but I think a lot of people, including myself, get caught up in is prioritizing based on who's screaming the loudest. That's huge. That is so big. And I would love to hear, what is your solution to that? Because when you have a client that's way more demanding than the others, how do you not prioritize them more and still keep them happy than the others? What is the solution there?
Right. I think where you have to start is profitability, right? Not all customers and not all projects are equal. So
true.
What you want to do is you want to look at your organization and you want to group your different types of work into those buckets of work. And you want to figure out which ones do we enjoy doing and we're really good at and are the most profitable. And then figure out which ones you don't enjoy and which clients as well. Which clients are the most profitable clients and which clients are the ones that just absolutely take all your time. It might be because you gave them a legacy rate. It might be that they're an old client. You didn't increase the prices on them. You increased the prices on everyone else. You have to stop and have a good, long, hard look at your business and decide if you really want to keep going with this approach. If you may be much, much better off to start saying no to some customers and to some projects and to really focus on being a more profitable, successful agency, which is what we did and ultimately how we scaled. And you may also need to fire a customer every now and again if they're screaming at you too much, right? Which
absolutely.
Just on the pricing, if we can go back to that, because it is a key mistake. I mean, we were making it. I remember the day we decided, right, we're either going to pack this in or we're going to make it work. And we increased our prices one January overnight. We sent an email to all our customers. And I remember a customer emailed me back saying, I was wondering when you'd wise up. Right? The customer said this to me, right? So I think if you're not getting any pushback on your pricing is a delicate equilibrium. You want to be getting some pushback when you give prices. If you're not getting enough pushback, you got to be increasing those prices up until that moment where you should be losing an occasional project because your prices are too high, and you shouldn't be afraid of it. Yeah.
Yep. I totally agree. So with a lot of talk about a potential recession, do you have any tips for how agencies can, quote unquote, recession-proof their business?
Yeah, I do. I think the biggest thing you can do, if you haven't done this already, is switch from focusing on new clients to retain or work with existing clients. Do that as much as you can. It's actually one of the super smart ways that, the bigger agencies are all about retainer work and working with the biggest clients they can. To do that, offer every single client you have a retainer. They may not have even considered it and they may find it very helpful. It's also predictable work and revenue for your agency, which allows you to kind of plan for the future. As you get more notice when your customers are going to dial that down as well, instead of just relying on the open market and new projects coming in. You also need to manage the costs in your business. And I hate to say it, but the biggest costs are typically staff. But you do need to look at it. And, especially in a moment like this when the market is uncertain, can you streamline any roles? Do you currently outsource anything that you can bring back in-house? Do you have any staff that you wouldn't hire again? And it may be time to finally address that. You could, if you do anything kind of crazy, if you're really feeling a pinch, you could do something like give everyone a 10% pay cut. I'm not a massive fan of that. One thing I would say, if you ever do go that route, I would be a big advocate that you should also, as the agency owner, head of operations, whatever, should also be taking the same percentage pay cut. And then I think the key thing here is planning early. You don't want to wait till you're in a situation where there's not enough projects coming in the door, you're coming close to missing payroll and you're in crisis. Now is the time to be planning and getting ahead of that.
Yeah, I think that's huge. I think I really like the emphasis on recurring and building in recurring models for the agency on retainer, because I think a lot of agencies, especially like agencies that do one-off projects, like web design agencies are notorious for this. They'll build the website and then that's it. But there's so much that could be offered after a website, so much
Yeah.
marketing that can be done for to help promote the website and get them, because like website is useless if no one's visiting it, right?
Yeah.
So there's just
When we were an agency, building websites was a big part of our business. And what we did is we started offering customers, hey, a retainer comes with the website. It's for 1,000 or 5,000 or 10,000 a year. This is what you get. You do so many hours of maintenance. You would be surprised at the amount of customers that just will take that because they're appreciative of the help instead of just saying, okay, we're finished now. We delivered the project. The other thing is we started offering a palette of extra options. So instead of just building the website, we offered them, hey, would you like us to do a Google audit every month? Would you like us to do an SEO audit? Would you like us to do this? Would you like us to set up your social media? A palette of things that were really easy for us to provide, but really improve the margins on the different projects. And it was super easy to do, and we tried it, and it just worked instantly. And then we got kind of excited by that, and we kept offering more and more offerings, and we kind of got into that mindset of how can we improve the mindsets and the margins on every project, and how can we deliver more recurring revenue to the business.
Yeah, people don't realize, like, you're not going to get it if you don't offer it. Like, creating more offers and putting yourself out there more and more, especially to the clients who already know, love, and trust you, is key to, it's like the low-hanging fruit. It's kind of like when I talk to newer agency owners that are just starting out in the space, and they're like, do I need to spend a bunch of money on ads to get clients? And you really don't. Like, your very first clients, they can come from your network just by telling people around you, your friends, family, and other people that know you, that you have a marketing agency, that you're helping people with grow their businesses online, right? And you can very easily, I need XYZ. I mean, a lot of us start like that, and we get our first high ticket clients just by word of mouth and letting people in your sphere know. So there's so much low hanging fruit that goes into that can further build your profit margins and help in this potential coming recession. I also think you mentioned mindset, and I think mindset is a big key player in this, but also not just on your clients, but also as the agency owner. Like, what I see a lot working with a lot of entrepreneurs and agency owners is self-fulfilling prophecies. So like, if you have an agency owner who believes like, oh, we're in dark times, and like the budgets are really thin and it's tight, like that flows through the whole business. And like, there are so many businesses out there that will be doing fine throughout the recession because of their model and what they're going through. And so if you believe that everyone is broke and it's a recession and we have to pull back across the board, then that's what you're going to experience. But there are many agencies that continue to have great clients and good retainers, even in times of recession.
I 100% believe that. Yeah, definitely. And look, there's always money to be made. You may need to pivot a few times, but there's at every stage you can help businesses save money by outsourcing things to you. There's ways to make money.
100%. There's never a time where every business in the whole world is suffering because of the uniqueness of different businesses and their models. Like, they're all going to be going through different things at different times, and all businesses need marketing, even in a downturn. In fact, many businesses need it more. They need help more to make more sales when the economy shifts down. So there's a lot to be said there in terms of agencies.
And like, you want to be there ready for when the market bounces back up, because it always bounces back up, right? You want to keep those great relationships with your best customers, so when they're ready to spend again, you are ready right there with them.
100%. So we know that agencies today are struggling with retention. How can they grow and scale while also retaining talent in the process?
Yeah, I mean, this is a difficult one. I think every company in the world has had the talent crunch for the last 6 months to a year. The market was super heated post-COVID worldwide, and wage inflation everywhere. People have been poached all over the place. And then we've just had incredibly rapid cooling in the last 2 months. You probably see that everywhere. There's layoffs in a lot of tech companies. There's a lot more uncertainty. There's the whole thing in Ukraine, the war, Russia. people are a little bit spooked, and I think it has massively calmed down. That's what I see anyway, and that's what I hear from other people I talk to. Um, so I think the good news is it will calm a bit, but other than that, I mean, you just need to keep on doing what you always do. Keep continuing to drive a great culture in your company. Keep looking after your people. Provide them with a stable, great place to work, and you'll retain these people. There's never in a recession. There's always a good time to work on culture, and people will always really appreciate you going the extra mile to work with your staff and to help retain them. A great culture can retain staff, and there's always more can be done on that front.
I totally agree. And, I have this, unique, I mean, not even unique anymore. It's not unique at all. Like, a lot of businesses are fully online these days. And so it's that, that much harder, I guess, to build that culture, but it absolutely can be done. And I, even with my own team, like, I really enjoy being around them and enjoying their company. And you should kind of have that in your business. If
Definitely
you're running a business and it feels like work, and it feels like, I gotta log into this meeting today, then you're probably, in my opinion, it's probably a red blinking light that you're not fostering the right culture that you should be in your own business that you're controlling. And so it's really important. And if you feel like that, I can only imagine what your staff must feel like at the same time.
Definitely.
So
it's
it's
so
really
important.
important.
You make the effort and you turn up at the company events, and you pay their drinks and everything. Go to as many of these events as you possibly can, because it counts. It all, staff do notice these things.
Absolutely. With the new year coming up, I'm sure a lot of agencies will set a goal to remain profitable or at least increase their profitability. How can they attain this without simply taking on more clients? Does it kind of go back into digging down into, offering more to the existing clients, or are we looking at more at, expenses there?
Yeah, well, it can never hurt offering more to existing clients, right? And having that palette of extra options that you can think of to improve it never hurts to work on improving your margins, right? But if you're assuming you're not getting any more work, there's plenty you can do internally to get more streamlined, more organized, and more effective, right? The first thing you can do, I mentioned earlier on, is just checklists for the when. Just book the checklist manifesto. You want to just turn your agency into a machine that just thrives without you there. So I have this vision of the agency owner goes on vacation and they're there at the beach and they're constantly with their laptop, constantly checking in, right? That's not healthy. You want to create this organization that just thrives in your absence, and it thrives. One of the biggest way you can do that is to put these SOPs in for everything. You can put them in for projects, you can put them in for staff, onboarding, offboarding, absolutely every process you can think of, you can build SOPs for it. You don't have to do it all in one go. You can start simply with something for onboarding new staff, suiting the start with another simple high-level project outline. And then you start filling it in and filling in the subtasks in more detail over time. And before you know it, you're thriving and efficient, and you can literally just stand back and watch the projects getting done. Another key thing then is if you really want to get more effective and profitable, you got to look at your team utilization. So your team utilization is basically how many hours do your staff spend on completing client work versus non-client work. So for example, if you have a designer that only spends 50% of our time actually delivering client projects, then something is wrong. Now, you'll never be at 100%, but you should be aiming for somewhere between 70 and 80% for every team member that works on client work. And why wouldn't they all be at 70, 80%? They could be working on side projects. They could be distracted. They could think they're working on stuff that isn't as important as it might be to you. They might be taking long lunches and not actually repaying the time. Whatever it is, this is your key metric. You got to be logging time, and you got to see that you are logging. A distinction between logging non-billable hours and billable hours. You want to be logging billable hours on client projects at least 70% to be effective. And the good news is we have that feature built right into Teamwork, by the way.
I was going to say, you must, in order to be able to monitor this, you'd have to have some type of software to know what the logging is. So nice plug, nice Teamwork plug there. Good. How do you feel about an agency expanding their service options? Do you think that's a viable option for an agency that wants to grow and maybe, get more business? Like we said, the previous question, we said without adding more clients, but if we did want to add more clients, would you recommend that they try and add more clients in this thing that they're already doing? Or is it smart to maybe now offer, like say a Facebook ads agency, and now they want to offer Google and TikTok as well and start going after that kind of thing? Would you say that it's more advisable to continue just in the vertical that you're in, or expand verticals?
Oh, I mean, that's such a difficult question. It's different for every company, and it depends on what you consider a vertical to be. And someone might say that's all social media. Someone might say TikTok is a channel and that's all we do, right? And in either strategy could work really well for different businesses. In general, though, niching down really works. Like I know an agency owner that he just struggled for years, and eventually he said, all we do is mobile app development. And the second he changed to that, work started flooding in, and he was able to charge 10 times more than he was previously because he was specialized. So it's definitely worth looking at this. But it's not an easy question to answer. Everyone has to kind of like try different things. But you shouldn't be afraid of trying different things and changing your messaging and seeing what works for you.
And there's also, two different types of specializing or niching down. There's the market, so like roofers or financial advisors, e-commerce stores, and then there's also services, which is, TikTok ads, Google ads. So it's like, I definitely agree. It's beneficial to have a market audience that you're going after. But I think it also can be beneficial to have services even niche down to that, like mobile app development for financial advisors or for local government, whatever it is, right?
E-commerce sites set up for category X, right? Laser focus on that. Of course, you're going to be more appealing to people looking. But you got to niche down and make sure you're listed everywhere. You can't just do niche down and hope that people are going to find you, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Just the one other thing on profitability, I mentioned this earlier on. You really got to figure out which type of work and clients are your most profitable. So if you can make more margin off ad campaigns than building websites, you need to focus more on ad campaigns instead of websites, right? Or you may need to figure out why my margins aren't good on websites and work on improving that. You might find that the best thing you can do is actually just go all in on one category that you're the most profitable and successful in, and abandon everything else. Just specialize in that. But to see that, you need some sort of system that's going to kind of report back to you what's profitable and what's not profitable.
Yeah,
shameless plug again. Teamwork can do that for you.
Do you think with remote work on the rise that project management solutions will continue to be key for growth and success?
Yes, 100%. You just won't be able to seriously compete with your competitors or scale without a good work and project management platform for remote work. If you don't use anything else, start with something simple. But I mean, all your competitors are using systems. If you're not using any system yet, you're just left in the dust. And it's really interesting. What I see now is businesses that are brand new, guys straight out of college, and they know that they need software from day one. Whereas in the past, we would have got by with spreadsheets for a while and then grown into the software. The world's going to change.
Yeah, absolutely. Because younger generations are used to using software for everything else in their life. So why wouldn't they use it to organize their business? I think. Mm-hmm. You think you can start without software but you'll quickly realize how chaotic and difficult it can be trying to keep everything in line and trying to keep everything on a schedule and trying to meet delivery timelines for all of your clients. It gets out of control really, really fast. Not even with 50 clients, like we're talking 5 and without
5,
anything.
10 clients and it's chaos, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. Are there any books or resources that you would recommend agency owners refer to on their growth journey?
Yeah, I've 2 that I really like. I think every entrepreneur in every industry should read this one. It's very famous. It's called the E-Myth. It really just kind of changes your mindset on why am I in business? What's the goal of my business? And it's just a really good foundational book to have in your arsenal. And then I mentioned this earlier on, but a framework I think everybody should be looking at is EOS. The book behind it is called Traction by Gino Wickman. It's fantastic. We actually use that framework at Teamwork to run our company, and it's been transformational in getting us hyper organized. And we spend less time working kind of on the business or in the business or kind of figuring out the nuts and bolts, and more time actually working on our biggest challenges. So
I
definitely
love
recommend
it.
it.
I have traction on my shelf, and I'm going to I'll give my book recommendation, and it's not actually, it doesn't have to do specifically with agencies, but it gives a ton of financial literacy to common folk like myself. So it's called "I Will Teach You to Be
Oh
Rich"
yes, yeah,
by Ramit Sethi. It's so amazing. It's like such foundational stuff that you really would never even know. Like when my business started growing and I had some money to finally start investing, and I was like, I didn't know what the heck to do with it. I'm like, I don't even, what do I do? There's so many different financial vehicles out there and I had no idea. And this simple book taught me so much. I mean, I learned about ETFs and index funds and all, I mean, all of it. It's just been, it's a
fantastic.
really helpful book. So
I
if
haven't
you're
read that
listening
one.
out there,
I'm gonna read that one. That's great.
it's
That's
so
great.
good. It's so good.
They
It's
should be
just so
teaching that stuff in schools, right? Instead of a lot of the
right.
nonsense.
Yeah. This book should have been taught in high school without, without question. But that helped me a ton as, as you're growing a successful business to start to know what to do with your profits so that you can, set yourself up for retirement, which is really, really
Yeah,
good.
very good.
So, what would be your, and this is the last question that I ask everybody on the show. I mean, I will ask one after that. So you can tell
Okay.
everybody where to find you. But in terms of our, meat and potatoes of the show, this is the last question that I ask every guest that comes on. What would be your number one piece of advice for agency owners out there who are just getting started right now? Brand new, super green, and the
Okay.
sky's the limit.
Hon-
What would you say to them?
Honestly, uh, I think read that blog post I have on the top 10 mistakes is my real honest answer. Don't make those mistakes. That it's that simple, right? And you will have a successful, thriving agency, and you can focus on just delighting your customers in the early days.
It would be very
Don't,
nice to be able to skip all
that's it.
those mistakes when you're just starting out. Well, so then this leads into my last question very well, because people are going to want to know where the heck to find that blog post. So can you give our listeners the information on where to find you and learn more about Teamwork?
Yeah, sure. So, guys, Teamwork is teamwork.com. It's very easy. So, check it out. Give us a trial, and hopefully, you'll like what you see. If you want to reach out to me, I'm always just peter@teamwork.com. Or you can find me on LinkedIn if you just search Peter Coppinger, which is pretty easy to find me straight away. And I love talking to agency owners about what's holding you back, how you can scale, and helping you see the big picture. So, open invite to your listeners here, Tyler, that if a few of you want to reach out, I'll organize a group chat and we can talk to how to scale your agencies.
Fantastic. That would be super valuable. Peter, thank you so much for joining us here on this episode today. I think we learned a ton and we have lots of homework. So go look up that blog post on the 12 mistakes to avoid. I think there's a lot more to learn there as well.